new shipping hub in Northeast Asia, reaching the world from Northeast China, Port of Dandong.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Crossover. I'm Qi Xiaojun with Professor Teng Chimeng and also our new friend Sajid. Welcome to Crossover.
Thank you so much.
As a new friend, let me just give you some feedbacks actually from our viewers so that you get a rough idea of how popular our program is actually.
Sure.
We do receive feedbacks from around the world. Now this is a email from Gabazira Nathan from East Africa, Uganda, Kampala City. Thank you for writing to us. Thanks a lot for the program. Really, I like the program because it teaches new things happening around the globe, people's culture and life. That's exactly what we are trying to do now.
That's right.
And here is one from Emeka Ikawilo from Nigeria. After watching your program today in Nigeria via DSTV and your discussion on Chinese food, I must impressed the way you market your country and the smallest issues therein. I wish you the best. Well, not quite sure about the marketing part, but we are just interested in food, and Chinese people
about
love
Chinese,
food.
lots of things. That's right.
So roughly, you get an idea what this program is.
So people watch them from Nigeria and
Nigeria.
I
thought that this program was very much interested not only in China, in the rest of the world even then.
Right.
The people, they're taking huge interest to watching these kind of stories about the culture of China, including food, culture, education.
What's happening
lots
in
of
China
things,
roughly?
Lots of things.
So, Sajid, since you're new here in Crossover, tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, sure. First of all, I would like to thank to inviting me here. It's really my pleasure to be here. By profession, I'm an educationist, and for my last 20 years, including 8 years in China, in Beijing. And I have visited lots of institutions in Beijing and across the China here in different universities as well. I worked as the head of the school, international school here in Beijing. And right now I'm working with another international school and also teaching as part-time in different universities.
Now, talking about that school, international school, what is the age range of your students?
The age range was from age 4 to 18.
Right.
We offered the British courses, and after that the students joined the universities there.
Now that's what I want to know actually, since both of you are educators, and especially you, your students were aging from 4 to 18 years old. That's exactly
kids, right.
what we are going to talk about. We're talking about education, training about their financing, say, capabilities, the financial training for children. Because recently, it seems all of a sudden, all these banks, local banks in China, they started to release these new cards only for children. Take a look; they are very colorful. Well, obviously these cards are connected with the account of their parents. That means, their parents might be able to monitor a little bit their spending habits. But anyway, these cards, they belong to the children. When we say these are the children's cards, we are talking about these people younger than 18 years old. That's your area. Sajid, that's your area. So
that's your kids.
And most of these cards are the debit cards, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
yes. So because the union pays there.
That's right. It's not the credit card.
But
anyway, they have their own accounts.
Of course.
Why is this happening? Oh, okay. Sajid, why is this happening? Are now these people rich enough to have their own account?
There are certain reasons. Like, first of all, I must say that financial training for children is very, very important nowadays, because nowadays the children are not so, innocent. They know each and everything. To buying, shopping on internet, to shopping, to go to the stores. They won't have their own accounts. And when the parents, they are giving them some accounts, saving accounts, and giving them some cards, they in fact giving them the sense of ownership and the sense of responsibility. So in order to weigh all of these kind of things, the financial training for children becomes the most important in order to learn the value of money, the value of purchases, the comparison of different unit prices of different products and commodities, especially whenever they are going out and buying something. But unfortunately, most of the parents offer no financial training to their children. Very few of them.
That's because, especially in China, we don't really think that's a thing.
You're talking about my student.
No, not the students.
My older student in my college.
Very few of them, very few of the parents, I think they are talking about such kind of things with their children and sharing their ideas about it.
Very few.
Because very, very few, yeah.
Now, Professor, let me ask you this question. When was the first time you got your own pocket money?
My goodness, that was a very difficult question. I mean, I could not even remember, in fact.
Right,
I mean, I couldn't even remember I was given an account.
What I'm saying is, and for Chinese parents, maybe things are different these days with the younger generation parents, but with the old generation, when we were little, it was, no big deal. And
no big deal, yeah.
If the parents wanted to give you some pocket money, okay, they would just give them some. But if they were not happy with that decision, you won't actually have any, and it's not a thing at all to the parents. Not to mention financial training.
Exactly.
No. I mean, I remember I was wandering around the street and admiring. I mean, basically with my mouth watering.
Exactly.
I mean, seeing these people. I mean, these adults eating in their youtiao and their popsicles, ice popsicles out there on the street, while no money at all. I mean, to buy one. I mean, basically, see, because no pocket money, like you said.
That's right.
No pocket money at all at that point.
So, but all of a sudden these days, it seems the younger children these days, they're now given the access to their own wealth, say, out of different sources, either from New Year's greetings in financial ways, say from the family members of the same family, or when you visit a friend's family, maybe they'll give you a red envelope that also means something.
That's right.
And in the old days, all this will be taken away actually by the parents.
By the parents, right.
But these days, they get to keep that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, kids keep that, and kids actually can open an account. Or if he cannot, for example, my niece, I mean, my brother's daughter, I mean, she's not 18, but then she's not legally, it's not legal actually to open an account for kids like that age, under 18 years old. And so my brother opened an account under his name, but then this is supposed to be an account to be transferred to the daughter. And so in this case, even if now, I mean, the daughter is now given that very official account, but then the daughter said, "Oh, I need my money. I need my gifted money," and then see the father has to give the money. In this case, children are now increasingly treated as an equal, as an independent person.
Right.
Whereas we, in our case, we were never treated as an equal. I mean, basically, you were the kids, you were the beast.
You're part of the property of the family.
Yes, that's right. And even I know that some of the parents, they open the saving account for their children when he is born, and later on till they put some money every month.
It's a little fund.
For the fun, just small, but till the age of 18, that same saving account transferred to the same title. Because now
that's
a present
for the 18th
and
birthday.
till 18 years, I mean, it's a huge amount for them, and that helps them for their future betterment for their child. I mean, the better education, but different kinds of things. And one more thing is that the children's saving accounts having higher interest rate as compared to the saving account for adults.
Interesting. Back in your own country, I mean, how important is financial training being seen by the adults?
Normally what the parents they are doing, they are getting the supplementary cards and giving to their children, in fact. And the principal account holder are the parents, either the mother or the father. And the supplementary card, but with a limited amount. Say, once we, normally it's a survey that we need to give the allowance, I mean the pocket money, to the child at the age of 6, 7 or 8 years old. Because at this age, now he or she is in a position to find out the concept of value of money, buying of, purchasing something, and the comparison of different kinds of things. But the thing is that when the students the children, they are in a position to identify all of these kind of things, and they know that they have this pocket money for 1 week, for 1 month, and they cannot exceed that. So they in fact, indirectly, they are planning lots of things. So this kind of thing, if we teach, the children about the financial training, it gives them lots of planning and thinking skills as well.
Well, just now we were talking about why we didn't get our own money, actually our own account, not to mention our own account when we were little. it's part of the reason, obviously. I mean, different values.
Different
for the
values
old
and time factor
generation of
was there.
parents- Exactly.
Generation
For
was
them,
there.
for that
That's right.
old generation, maybe they see children as a part of the family property. They wouldn't actually treat you as an independent identity, and at the same time, and they don't really think it is a good thing for the kids to have money when they were too young.
That's right.
That's the
That's
issue.
very right.
This is still
Very
a
right.
controversial issue
Very right.
these days. We'll talk about that after a short break. You're watching Crossover. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Crossover. Now, today we're talking about this financial training for children, especially when we're talking about these children under 18 years old. It seems changes are happening because, all these new ideas are being introduced to China. People are now seeing the importance of early financial training for their children. Let's take a look at the picture of this very successful businessman, investor, Warren Buffett. We also would like to show you some animation, actually, voiced by Warren Buffett. It tells his own story, his understanding of the importance of financial training for kids. Let's take a look.
Sometimes you just gotta save your quarters.
You hit the nail on the head, Elena. In order to build a business, you need to save for equipment you'll need to buy in the future. If you put away a little money at a time, it won't be long before you have enough for the things you need.
That's right.
But if you spend more than you should, you'll find that you don't have any money left when you really need it.
You've gotta convince Zoe that if she saves for that lawnmower now, she'll make even more money later when she expands her business.
That's right, Elena. A penny saved is a penny invested in your future.
Well,
Interesting.
interesting. I mean,
Interesting.
Warren
Very
Buffett had been
interesting.
involved in that animation production, and he even voiced his own character.
Lots of truth
Really?
in there. Lots of truth to that.
It's all
actually,
animation. I mean, characters, cartoons. I mean,
Right.
they're educating the
Right.
children about movies or animations. That's
Right.
really,
But
it's a good thing.
But do you think it is a bit early for the children to to get the knowledge about all these values? I mean, it seems everything will be judged by its monetary terms, by its monetary values.
That's right.
When we were children, for example, there's no concept of money, there's no concept of market economy, there's
That's
no kind of assessment of one's labor on the basis of the money worth. Right now, China is
And
basically...
even not huge competition
No,
of different kind
it's
of
not
things.
a market economy at all.
That's
I
right.
mean, think about now, for example, there's major demographic change. There's also a major kind of financial and economic change with the wealth being accumulated, for example. I mean, you can never imagine, I mean, for these young kids, for example, at our school, I mean, most of these people would come from a household with an annual income of 100,000 RMB yuan. I mean, that's pretty much money in this case. And so kids are here on campus, can spend at random. And so, for example, this one student parents just complained to me. He said, last month, I just give my boy 3,600
Oh my
kwai
God.
For a month.
for a month.
For a month.
For a student.
For a student, for a
Even
senior.
this is not the salary of a
No.
very high person, I think so.
No, absolutely. I think it's high time. See,
Yeah.
for me, in my case, for example, I also had a hard time planning my own finance. I mean, basically, my finance was almost jeopardized by random spending. For example, I buy one TV set that month and also a small refrigerator, and I find myself at the end of the month almost dead broke. And I have to go to the dining hall and
That's
eat
good.
and eat at the dining hall.
Right.
So in a sense, it's the result.
But I think that this way of educating the children is really good. And this kind of terminology is so-called edutainment. Training, giving them education through entertainment. Because the small young kids, they are learning through observation and repetition. And they're looking these kind of stuff on television or somewhere on internet. They are learning all of these materials very quickly. The professor said that the father complained that he has given a lot of money to the child. It happened in my school, the previous one, when I was the head of the institution. Sometimes very small kid, about 5, 6, 7 years old, they are bringing 200, 300 koi a day.
Right.
And sometimes they don't care about it. They lost the money. And the parent comes to the college, this is your responsibility. So I said, how it comes? Why you give so much money to them?
Because you have to
just
train
give
them,
them
right?
just give them
You
the
don't train
lunch
my
and
kids.
everything. And don't give them the money. And the second thing, in
Yeah.
another institution, that's a very good system. The parents, they don't give them the money. They just give them the plastic money, the cards, in fact.
Okay.
They can just do the cafeteria. They put the money inside the cart. They just go to the cafeteria. Whatever they want, they can buy it. No need to carry the cash and at all. So these kind of things, I think, is really good. We need to educate them.
Now, talking about these different ways of training, what about this one? Because in some cases, parents would choose to pay their kids for doing the chores, for doing the housework.
The housework, yep.
How do you like that idea?
Well, I personally don't like the idea because I don't think kids should be rewarded for doing household chores. On the one hand, I think that children should be encouraged to work for the community. If that's part of the community work, I would encourage children to go and work for the community and then come back and get rewarded.
Well, their logic is basically you have to work to
Right.
get the money.
The idea
you
is
have
that,
to
right.
work to earn your own living.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But you know, what is your take on this?
Like I strongly agree with this because the first earning that you have in your past, that's really the value of that kind of amount is extremely good. And I remember in one of my project, I gave some of the project to my marketing students. That in the summer break time, they need to work for a few hours a day in some other places, not at home, outside. They need to get some money, maybe 1,000 or something like, say, RMB. And they need to, the target was given to them that they need to buy such kind of gadgets that is really, really helpful for their education. So that the condition was that I told them that I will come and see that where you are and what you are doing. And we got the pictures of that, such kind of things even then. So the students, they know how to work and they know the value of money, in fact. And
Because
how
of work, right?
Exactly,
The money
exactly.
is
But
what
not
you
at work, they work outside, any kind of thing. Like some of my students, they got the projects, they prepare some kind of products, small products, like juices or something like, and they sell out maybe in the campus, maybe outside the campus. Anybody can buy it, and they got a huge money even with them.
Right.
And they can buy whatever they have plans in the future.
But my concern basically is that if you continue to encourage children to work and work for money, that would actually create the kind of misunderstanding.
Also, yeah,
Right.
that's the second
And
very
that
important point. Very
misunderstanding could
important
be
point.
eventually impact his whole life.
That's
Like, If
right.
I work, I must work for money.
Yes,
That's
that's
And
right.
against a socialist background, for example, in this
Especially,
country.
exactly, especially in China. And China is such a country with all this strong bond of family members.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
that's right.
Not everything can be,
Measured
judged-
by-
exactly
Measured by
measured
money.
by monetary
Cannot be
terms.
judged. No, I can't.
So in this case, I see a kind of a danger, a kind of a concern on most part of the parents. If you reward the children with money by, for example, doing household chores, and that created the false value, and that created the value that's opposed to the traditional Chinese value.
Exactly.
But if you go out and work for the community, there must be an organization that value, that assess you, and that pay you for this part of the work. Because you're working for the community, for the general good, instead of working for your own. See, China's value is basically for the collective, instead of for that one particular household or that very private family. So in this case, our students basically work, and they work part-time, and they work part-time outside the campus, off campus. For example, a job application center.
Applications.
And so in this case, students are valued for their community work. For example, getting rid of the garbage out there in the neighborhoods and helping the senior citizens to get vegetables and stuff like that. And so in a sense, it's about helping students to, in a sense, to establish a value system that they don't have before, but then based on this financial planning. You know, now money is something that you have to work hard for.
The financial training for children is still something new in the Chinese society, so people might have different ways of understanding it, and some of it might not be actually appropriate. We'll talk about these misunderstandings about this financial training for children after a break. You're watching Crossover. We'll be right back.
Ready for the maple summit.
Welcome back to Crossover, and today we're talking about this financial training for children, especially for the ones under 18 years old. And maybe, as I mentioned earlier, this is still, relatively speaking, a new thing for Chinese society, financial training for children.
I have visited different play areas in Beijing along with different students, and those play areas, they have established a grocery store. Those stores, they have specific products for the small kids, and where they have very small trolleys, and for the age of about 4, 5 or 6 years old especially, and the parents are with them, but they just go to the counters and shelf and they select whatever the things they needed, and they need to come to the counter and pay. Of course, the parents, they need to pay, but they are telling them how to do all these kind of things. And not only this way, even there are certain ways to educate the financial training to the children, like semi-accounts we have discussed aloud normally. The parents, I think, being as parents, we need to involve the children in the financial and the purchasing decisions especially. That's very, very important. Because as we have discussed, that the children, they learn from repetition, from observation, so they learn our experiences and that could be benefit in their future. Similarly, like we need to take them to the shopping trips, especially whenever we go to the shopping malls, shopping grocery stores, and especially when we are going to pay bills. They know what are all these kind of procedures. So how the family budget they establish in 1 month, how they're spending all of these kind of things. If I'm talking about a little bit higher age of now, because that is in a position, the middle to high school children, in fact. So they are in a position to understand all of these kind of things. And similarly, then they are trying to repeat those things in their own future.
In the real life.
In the real life.
Yes.
So they learn from their parents. And they learn from their parents' success, in fact, and their experiences.
Right.
So basically, you're doing the right thing. But what about these? People's understandings about financial education for their children. First one, financial education equals a training on investment, like an investment in stock exchange or in the stock market. And some are saying they do not come from the same category. They're not the same thing. Financial training is something that you do, probably.
That's right.
It's not only about how to invest, say, in the future. Second one, do not overestimate the role that money can play in education.
Exactly.
Remember, when the parents want to encourage their children to do better, say, in their academic study, they will say, if you are number 1 in the rating, say, if there is a rating in the classroom, I will get you this.
Yes, that's right.
And I'll get you that.
That's right.
Right.
I mean,
Because
that happens
because the
also in
students, they have
Pakistan.
their priorities. They need to buy, say, iPad, iPhone, these kind of
That's
stuff.
right, that's
the
right.
parents, they have the expectations from the children. Okay, fine, we'll give it to you.
Right.
Like I did with my son. I said, okay, if you got 90% plus percentage of marks,
Yes.
I'll give you whatever you want. But he was about in higher 80s, 88, 89. I gave it to him because you're very close to that. So both, which is win-win strategies. We are having some own targets. The children, they have their own targets.
But do you think...
But sometimes it works.
Right.
But sometimes it's maybe destroying the personality of the child as well.
Right.
Because if continuously is failing to achieve that kind of targets, so being as parents, we need to realize it, where is something wrong. And we're not giving them whatever they want. That's also a negative thing to that side.
But, so in that practice, in that story, do you think there is the risk possibly,
Yeah.
that you mentioned about people only work for money? It's like, well, the children might say, well, in the future, when I study, when I achieve something, I'm expecting something in return, and in monetary terms.
Right. I think that there might be the kind of risk, but in your first story, I think, for example, money meaning kind of saved,
investment.
meaning
Investment,
right.
stock exchanges, something like that.
That idea really makes sense. I think, particularly here in China, with the kind of more wealth,
That's right.
kind of being accumulated. Some children, particularly children of the so-called the second rich family, the second generation rich families, and these kids should have a sense of being frugal, being thrifty. I would encourage my student to buy some kind of piggy bank. I mean, like a small pig.
Yes, and
have
it
that.
seems
We saw
every
the
kid
cards,
has
yeah.
that.
Everybody have that, right?
Yes.
So you piggy bank, and then you save whatever you can. I mean, coins and small banknotes and stuff like that. And so when you save, you in a sense, at the end of the month, it's quite a sum.
good
And
son.
then you plan something, for example. You can plan an outing, you can plan a kind of dinner reception.
They can contribute to
Right,
that,
you can contribute to
activities.
that very collective activity. And so I would say this kind of saving is for future kind of investment. I remember an American colleague who came to tell me and said, I began to save for my children since he was born. And upon the age of 18, I already have saved enough money for him to go
That's
to a college.
We also need to educate the children the differences between needs and wants. We need to tell them what is their real need and what do you want actually. That's
This
the
actually
necessity.
comes down to the next tip. Try not to satisfy all the needs your kid might have.
Exactly, that's right.
You have
That's
to tell them that some things are
This
the
is
ones
really,
that you
really
need.
important, yep.
Exactly.
Right, rationality
And
is supposed to be
also
key.
the difference between debit and the credits. We need to tell them if you spend over that limit,
Right.
you are on the credit side. You have like next month you will have a less amount then. So they will
Well, in
fix
China,
their budgets also.
in China, it's going to be easy to do because China has a long tradition of not to be in debt.
Not to be in debt. Yeah,
That's right.
That's right.
We are not supposed to be in debt.
Yeah, we don't need the lesson to say the importance of
Right.
saving money because that's what we're doing. The parents, they've been doing it for all these years.
That's right.
Yep,
That's right.
That's very right.
Now, here's the next one, and there are some also tips about the pocket money, about the allowances, and what to be allowed, what not to be allowed. Actually, talking about the kids, try not to build up the connection between the academic performance
performances.
with how much allowance they're getting actually next month. That's similar to what we talked about the reward,
Rewards,
all these.
Financial rewards or whatever the reward
Yes.
is. That's right.
Next tip is try to make sure the children understand it is difficult to earn some money, to earn money. Money doesn't come from nowhere. It's actually
It's all hard work.
I tell
hard
you,
work.
Yeah, it's
many
all hard
kids, they don't know where the money comes from.
From the bank.
I tell you no.
From the wallet, or maybe.
No, not from the wallet, from the ATM machine.
right.
I tell you my personal example.
Right.
Whenever I go to the ATM machine, normally my son is with me, and I took some cash and put in a wallet, something like. One day he was with me, I don't have my wallet. He said, Baba, I want to buy something. I said, I'm sorry, I don't have a wallet. He said, no problem, just go to that machine, they will give you the cash.
That's right.
So, because we need to tell them the ways, the value of money, the same thing, where it comes from, the bank's accounts and all these kind of stuff that gives them the education. That's it. And the knowledge of economics is also very much important, of demand and supply or such kind of things. They need to know, same as we have discussed about the needs and the wants, debit and the credits, all these are the terminologies that we are using in the financial education systems and financial management.